You know, they just wanted to put on that good old Blizzard polish. As time goes on, the benchmark for disappointment seems to be becoming lower and lower, as controversy after controversy transpire in one of the biggest rise and falls in gaming history. It's a sad tale, but maybe this is just a low in the company's history before a soaring high. Or maybe we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here, back with another video for you. We've all been through it. We've leveled up all the way to the max, started gearing up, and the next step is raiding, or organized PvP if you prefer that. Regardless, you need a guild. You take to the forums, trade chat, word of mouth, or you ask your friends and find a home that's right for you. That's what I did, at least, way back in the day. And I'm happy to say that people I met 15 years ago, I still talk to and play with today. Through my guild, myself and many others have built long-lasting friendships you wouldn't think possible through the ever-changing virtual world. But where my friends have lasted, my guild has not, and in the game's 15-year lifespan, we've all witnessed the rise and fall of thousands of guilds, whether they be on our server or high-profile professional raiding guilds. So, in this video, I thought it interesting to cover the biggest guild breakers in World of Warcraft, either for your entertainment, or maybe a list of things to avoid for any aspiring guild leaders. The first thing that comes to mind for many of you, I'm sure, are raid bosses. Through the many raids in World of Warcraft, there have been a few so difficult or so frustrating that they not only wipe the raid, but also the entire guild. Some that come to mind for me would be the intro bosses, Razorgore, Veilastraz, and the Blackwing Lair raid. With the simple nature of raiding back in Classic, having a fight such as Razorgore that wasn't as simple as wait for 3 Sunders and Zerg was quite a challenge to a lot of people. And with Veilastraz being a pretty tough gear check, many guilds who had conquered MC and thought they were the shit found out that they were just plain shit when the Blackwing Lair was released, and cracked under their pressure because they didn't have a hunter who knew how to kite. And who could forget the deadly ending trio of AQ40, that's Huhuran, the Twin Emperors, and Cthulhu. Being an already challenging raid, these final 3 bosses were the 1-2-3 death punch to many guilds back then. Huhuran being an unforgiving resist fight that required you to farm level 40 dungeons, the Twin Emperors just being extremely unforgiving, a very mechanically complex fight to pull off at the time. You have to keep them separated or else they heal to full, and one only takes physical damage and the other magic damage, which was tricky because I thought warriors were the only tanks back then. Ah, screw it. Just spam Battle Shout. And of course we have Cthulhu, who is deemed to be mathematically impossible to kill, even considering the best of the best gear for all 40 members with perfect play. And being before the age of multiple difficulty settings, if you couldn't beat it, you couldn't beat it. There was no alternative, and lack of progress broke any guild eventually. And the Burning Crusade, of course, hosted many excruciatingly difficult fights that remained unbeaten by 99% of the population until the inevitable nerfs came in. I could go through an entire list of raid bosses, but this is a subject that's been covered pretty thoroughly already, so instead I want to go outside of this realm and talk more about some of the lesser known guild killers of not only Classic, but the current game as well, and also include my personal experience having been in the same guild from the start of Vanilla.
healing, healing, healing. Spamming heals. Spamming. Spamming. I do not die. Hurt boy doesn't get got. He gets him. Come on. Got 5 stacks. Spamming. Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Make sure to move out with the debuff. Ranksta, move out. You dumb fucking idiot, Ranksta! You dumb piece of shit! I fucking hate you! You fucking dumbass! God damn it! Fuck you, Ranksta! You dick-sucking idiot!
No.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, Ranksta? Are you in the guild? You're in the guild. I'm gonna kick you out of the guild if you don't give me a good fucking explanation right now. I'm gonna remove you right now. I'll remove you right now. Tell me why you did it. Tell me why you did it. Tell me why you did it. You're fucking gone, dude. Why you do it? So Panda would get kicked. Okay. 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 Alright. That's fine, dude.
Okay.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's go. Alright, we'll give it another try. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. So, buff up again, guys. Buff up again. Really great try there. But we need to make sure that we get the... Oh, wow. He's active? Okay. Let me do a pull timer. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Guys, please don't move in. Just get ready to burn him down as soon as we go in, okay, guys? No bullshit. Just serious fucking play. Okay. We wiped on this 18 times. We're just gonna wipe on it once. It's just somebody did the wrong thing. Wait, I'm on my way. Pablo, where the fuck are you? Alright. Here we go. Going. Where's Taunt? I'm taunting. I'm tanking. I'm tanking. I'm tanking. Going. Don't be in front of me. Don't be in front of me. Let's go. Big damage, guys. Big damage. Big damage. Big damage. Lemmy, why are you dead, you fucking dumbass? Don't stand behind a fucking dragon! They got a tail! It's a wipe. It's a wipe. Okay. It's a wipe. This isn't even hard. Which dipshit taunted the boss? Wipe. Wipe. Is it pet taunt? Blocks pet taunted. Don't pet taunt. If you do it again, baby, I'm gonna kick you out of the raid, okay? Well, let's go. We'll do it again. Okay. Let's do it again. We'll try this one more time. First time, check Zadi's HP. Okay. It was I did 8k DPS. How did you do 38? How'd you do 5,000 DPS, baby? Because we should probably remove you if you're doing that. Like, you have like a bugged item or something? Yeah, we might have to remove you. Because that's way too much damage, man. That's like 30% of all of our damage is just you. It's his pet somehow. Okay, well don't use that pet. Yeah, that's way too much. Yeah, 5k DPS. That's like more than I did in Antaurus. The buff from Vale. Nah, bro, because like everybody else had that buff too. I-beam is buff. Yeah, don't use it. Okay, yeah, I'm just don't use the pet. Pick for being too good. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to do that because it'll just trivialize everything, right? And then it won't be fun. Okay. Buff up, let's get this done. Okay. Get it right this time. Please, if you get the debuff, move out of the raid. Please, if you get the debuff, move out of the raid. Move out of the raid if you get the debuff. Alrighty. Damage meter not working? No, it's not. I'll fix it after this. Alright. I'm in. Let me taunt. Let me do it. Okay. Big damage, boys. Big damage. That's a dragon. You watch out for his tail. They do tail things. Not the good kind like the Draenei. The bad kind like the dragon. Let's go. Big damage, guys. Big damage. Big damage. Remember, you've got free resources. Infinite resources. Use them. Use your infinite resources. Okay. Healing, healing, healing. Alright, don't move out with these debuffs, guys. Move out with these debuffs. Who gets the next debuff? I don't even see you. Dumb idiot. Who is that? Dravens. That's your fucking vanilla character. How, oh, rat, last stand. Okay. Move out. Oh, it's on me. It's on me. Okay. I'll have to jump out. That's fine. I'm dead. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Alright, go. Go, Dravens. Go, Dravens. Go, Dravens. Go, Dravens. Shit. Move out. Go. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. No! Last stand. Finish him. Finish him.
What? What?
All right.
What? I'm in the black hole. Holy shit.
This is a really popular video. I never got a chance to watch this before.
Hey guys, Hamsterville Gaming here, and I'm here to talk about what these so-called veteran WoW players are calling the hardest dungeon ever to be conceived
This is a
by
raid.
Blizzard. Old Naxxramas. Naxxramas has long been considered to be the hardest dungeon, and for a good reason. It wore on the whole guild, and while Blackwing Lair and
That's true.
Entourage were tough as hell, Naxxramas was unforgivable. Before I start explaining how hard it was and my personal experiences in Nax, allow me to share some numbers with you.
Okay, here we
Before
go.
the Burning Crusade, there were around 895,000 level 60 characters scattered across 179 US servers. There were only 900 guilds that managed to kill only one boss in Naxxramas, and take a guess at how many guilds actually cleared Naxxramas on US servers.
Wait.
Nope, you're wrong. 23. That's right. 23 guilds managed to clear the entire raid. That means that an average of around 1,000 players got to kill Kel'Thuzad,
That's fucking ridiculous.
which is less than 0.1% of the entire US player base.
And people like that, I think. There are a lot of people that like that.
Percentage. That is a number that has never been achieved with any other dungeon in the history of WoW. Hell,
That's true.
no other dungeon even
That's
came
very true.
close to that number. So why were there so few guilds and players that cleared the entirety of Naxxramas?
Because BC was
Well,
coming
let's
out and
start off
nobody
with
gave a
what you
fuck about the
actually
gear.
needed to be able to step into Naxxramas, shall we?
Yeah.
First of all, the absolute minimum requirement in terms of gear was
What are
a
you talking about,
majority of
Nixie?
tier 2 or tier 2.5
What do you say?
gear, and nothing lower than items that were on par with tier 1. If you didn't have that kind of gear, it was back to farming Blackwing Lair or AQ40. So even before
That's
you
when
were
gear
geared
actually
for
mattered.
Nax, you had to run Molten Core to get tier 1, and then Blackwing Lair and AQ4 to get your hands on the tier 2 and tier 2.5.
Progressing through raids.
And keep in mind
Who
that
would've
all
thought?
these raids I just mentioned were 40-man raids, and every boss dropped an average of 3
Thanks, Pudding Fish.
epics. 4 or 5 if you were lucky, but definitely 3 on average.
3 for 40 people.
Those 3 items on average had to be split over a 40-man raid group.
What a
and don't
great
forget that
game.
not every raid had the exact same people. So there were a total of around 60 to 70 people in
That's
that
why you
guild
had DKP.
that needed to be geared up in order to enter Naxxramas. Okay, so after months and months of farming Blackwing Lair, Onyxia, AQ40 and such, you finally had 40 people that were geared for Nax. Does that mean you're ready for this instance? Nope, of course not. Because not only did you need some of the best items in game to start raiding,
We had to get a tune.
you also needed a ton of consumables.
Oh,
That's right, the encounters
boy.
in Nax 40 were
Here we
actually so
go.
hard that the best possible gear you could get before Nax 40 was not good enough for Nax 40. If Blizzard did that now in Mist of Pandaria, there would be an outrage
That's a long
on
time
the
ago.
forums of people screaming in terror to buff the items, but in WoW Vanilla, that was it. You had the tier 2 and tier 2.5 and that was it. There
That's
was
right.
no thing better before Nax 40. Most guilds attempted Nax 40 on weekends, so during the weekdays,
I think tier 2
you
shaman
were
looks
forced
the
to
best.
farm consumables such as potions,
Maybe.
food, flasks, and other stuff. And this is where one of the things that really, and this was one of the things that really wore on me as a healer. If you were a healer and you had to farm consumables, you were
You gotta
screwed
respect, bitch.
because you did next to no
50
damage to mobs.
gold.
There was no spell power back then. Oh
That's like
no,
50K
tier 2 and
nowadays.
tier 1 only gave you bonus healing, which meant your offensive spells did no extra damage whatsoever. So farming was extremely slow and extremely painful. Not only that, there was no dual talent option where you could simply switch from Resto to Feral, and even if you could, you probably didn't even have the
Vanilla
proper gear
Druid,
for
by
that
the
spec
way.
because all the items that had
powers.
agility and strength
Great game.
went to warriors and rogues who needed it for their main spec.
Of course.
Even if you somehow got your hands on some decent Feral gear, a respec cost a total of 60 gold every time. That's right. If you were to farm with your off spec, you basically had to spend 60 gold to switch to that spec, and another 60 gold to eventually switch to your rating spec. That's a total of 120 gold, which was a lot of money back in those days. A lot of money.
I just want to pause and like add some context for this. So back in the day, 50 gold was worth something like I would say the amount that the amount that it was worth. Add like 4 or 5 zeros, or add 4 zeros to any number in vanilla, and that's the equivalent gold that it would be worth nowadays. Okay, so if it's 50 gold, add what that 500, 5,000, 50,000. Yes, yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe even more than that. Honestly, in some cases, it would be even more than that. It's insane.
Alright, now we got 40 people who are geared and have a crap load of consumables. Are we ready to enter the instance now? Nope. The final step to actually getting into the instance was the attunement quest, which was a bitch on its own. First of all, you had to get honored with the
Wasn't
Argent
that
Dawn,
hard.
which meant you had to either farm
Yes, it
quests
was.
No, it
and
wasn't,
mobs,
That
dude.
shit was a pain in
run
the
dungeons
ass.
What do
such
you
as school
mean?
events.
It was easy.
Now imagine if you are, if you've just done Blackwing Lair, you got a bunch of tier 1, you got a bit of tier 2 gear, and all of a sudden you have to jump into level 60 blue 5-man dungeons just to get honored. That was extremely annoying because obviously you're not getting anything out of those dungeons apart from the
You're just farming
reputation.
the rep, it's not a
I mean,
big
the items
deal.
you get there are pretty useless unless for some kind of decent off-spec items. Maybe, but that was really frustrating. And after you get honored, you
Not
still
that
had to throw down 5 arcane crystals, 1 righteous orb, and 2 nexus crystals. Those regions used to cost an approximate of at least 200 gold. If you were revered, it only cost 90 gold, and if you were exalted, the quest was completely free. But getting exalted was extremely time consuming, so you
I
were
feel like a
better
lot
off
of people
just
would get
coughing up the
revered.
items to get your pass for next
Maybe
40.
I'm wrong, but I feel like even I was like revered.
Okay, so now we can finally enter the
Ooh.
hardest instance in the entire game. So I guess that now it's time to talk about the difficulty of the actual bosses.
Here we go.
Now there might be people here watching this video saying, well, I've cleared Nax in Wrath Lich King and that was pretty hard. Well, maybe, but it was nothing
What?
compared to Nax in Vanilla.
Who said that?
Let me give you an example, such as the Locust Swarm of Anouk Rakan. The effect of Locust Swarm in Wrath caused a dot debuff that did around 1300 to
Look at this right
1700
here.
nature damage every 2 seconds,
What about it?
and it silenced the target. The effect of Locust Swarm in Vanilla caused a dot debuff that did around 1200 damage
Yeah.
every 2 seconds, and it silenced the target. That's right. Even though an average geared player in Wrath had at least 10 times more health,
Yes.
the damage of the debuff was almost exactly the same as in Vanilla.
Yeah.
Back then, a proper geared Clothy had about 3,500 health at best, which meant 3 ticks of that debuff and you were dead. 6 seconds and you were dead. You were done. Another boss that comes to mind is...
I want to pause that right there.
What?
The reason that they didn't change the numbers is Blizzard intended on players approaching the mechanic in a different way. At level 60, Blizzard intended for players to kite a Numrikon around the outside of the room, and at level 80, they expected players to have the tank use cooldowns and tank the damage. So that's why it wasn't changed, because the mechanic was intended to be dealt with in a different way.
Yeah, but Nax was still hard.
One second, guys. I want to. Can two people queue up and do these islands? Can I leech islands off of anybody just real quick? If I can just leech this stuff. If anybody wants to queue up and do islands while I'm AFK, that'd be great. But I mean, like, if not, that's okay too, because like, I'm really not doing anything. I just figured I'd ask because, I mean, fuck it. You gotta take your chances.
Noth. Raids in Wrath could actually ignore the curse and didn't even bother to decurse. However, if there was no decursing going on in Nax Vanilla, it meant an instant wipe for the entire raid.
Yes?
That's how
Yes.
hard it was. Hell, even the 4 horsemen fight, you needed 8 geared tanks. 8! Not 1, not 2, not 1 main tank, 2 off tanks. No, 8 geared
Is there 8?
tanks.
Oh, yeah, there's
That's
8 there.
absolutely
Okay, never mind.
insane compared to today's standards. I remember in my guild, we actually had to try and steal geared tanks from other guilds to help us out because A, we didn't have enough attuned tanks. and
Everybody
B,
did that.
They weren't all properly
Everybody
geared.
obviously did that.
That's how far we had to go to even stand a chance against an encounter that wasn't even one of the last bosses in Nax 40.
It was fucking OP.
That's right, it was that freaking brutal. Nax 40 had almost the exact same damage values as Nax in Wrath Lich King, which makes Nax in Wrath look hilariously easy.
It was.
Just for a
It was
comparison,
supposed to be easy.
Nax in Wrath was fully cleared in less than a week after its launch.
That's true.
Let's take a look at Nax in Vanilla.
That's including leveling
The
too.
patch for Naxxramas came out on the 19th of June 2006, and it wasn't until the 7th of September before Kel'Thuzad was finally killed. That's right,
That was
it
right
took
before I
the
started playing.
entire player base
Yep.
almost 3 months before one guild actually managed to clear the entire
Wow.
instance. That is something that is just extreme if you compare that to other
3 fucking
instances.
months.
I mean, instances in Burning Crusade came kind of
Jesus
close, but this is a
Christ.
number that has been
Wait,
unmatched
Stars was
for
around back
years. It was
Holy shit.
2006,
Yeah, dude.
it's
Remember Death and
2014 right
Taxes?
now.
then? Yeah, I don't
It's
remember
been
Stars
8
though.
years, and there hasn't been an instance that came even close
Wow.
to this number. That is absolutely insane.
That's pretty crazy.
Not only that, in order to actually survive insane damage like this, you needed resistance gear.
Here we
Something
go.
that has become obsolete in today's
This was the
WoW.
fun part
I
of the
mean,
game.
I wouldn't even be surprised if people don't even know what resistance gear is for anymore. I wouldn't be surprised. But you actually need to
That's
get your
actually probably
hands on
true.
frost resistance, nature resistance, shadow resistance,
Wow.
and fire resistance gear in order to properly withstand all the damage in this instance. And resistance gear, especially for frost, was extremely extremely scarce.
RPG elements. Ew.
There were a few frost items that dropped from bosses
Where's
in
my
that 40,
slot
but once again,
machine?
every single guy in that 40-man group needed to have that gear, so it could take another month before you actually had some frost resistance gear, which you absolutely needed for the fight against Sephiron. And it wasn't like you could just go to the auction house and buy a green level 55 of the frost resistance gear. No, that was not enough. You actually needed purpose-built frost resistance gear. Frost resistance gear with spell damage. Frost resistance gear with increased defense and a lot of stamina. And that took a long, long time. If your raid didn't have any frost resist gear, you could not do Sephiron. If you couldn't do Sephiron, you couldn't move on to Kel'Thuzad. So basically, if your guild didn't have any frost resistance, you were stuck at Sephiron. That's
There were
it.
so many, like,
that's the farthest
frost
you will
resist,
come.
8 tanks.
If your raid didn't have any shadow or nature resistance gear, it was an absolute bitch to get through the beginning parts of the Plague, Spider, and Abomination
never
Wing,
thought
let
of
alone Loathep. You needed
The
resistance
dick
gear.
sucker himself.
Alright, let's recap a bit before we move on. So let's
Wow.
just check out what aspects we have that make Nax 40 really hard so far. So far we have the gear in terms of farming tier 1, then tier 2, and tier 2.5.
Yeah,
And then we have dealing with scarce loot while rolling against 39 other people in your raid.
that's the fun
We
part.
have consumables which cost a crap load of money or took ages to farm if you didn't have a DPS character. We have that freaking attunement quest, which also costed a crap load of money. The insane damage values, and finally the mandatory resistance gear. So now
And
let's
8
move on to
tanks.
trash.
Don't forget about that.
As I just stated above, you needed resistance gear to clear out trash in several wings. But not only that, some trash actually respawned after 30 minutes. That's right, you had 30 minutes to try and kill a boss until you were stuck at the start,
It's like 2 pulls.
having to kill all that trash over and over and over, which can really wear on you if you keep wiping on one boss,
That would fucking
not
suck.
making any progression whatsoever.
Oh
Which
yeah,
brings
it,
me
it definitely
to
sucks.
Wow.
something else I want to bring up. The drama. Nax 40 was brutal and it wore out guilds one by one. It was basically farming consumables during the weekdays, which cost a lot of time, and then wiping over and over again during the weekends, only to get stuck on trash after 30 minutes and having to start all over again. It was only a matter
that
of time before
coordination with the
people in
torrents.
guilds started getting frustrated and started pointing fingers, blaming other people, etc. Many vanilla
That's right.
players have said that Nax 40 was the guild breaker, and I quote, "If you wanted to tear your guild apart, you should do Nax 40." I guess now is a good time to tell you about my personal experience.
That's
in
about
Nax 40.
right.
I was in one of the top raiding guilds on the Frostmain server called Legio Excisio. We were one of the first guilds to kill Nefarian, and in AQ40 we got to Cthulhu before Nax 40 came out. We had a great time in Molten
pretty
Core, Blackman Lair, Onyxia, but when we started doing Nax 40 we watched our own guild crumple apart. We got sick and tired of spending hours and hours
This is like too much
farming
Sargeras,
consumables
man.
only to waste them on countless wipes, which meant fights in Vidrilo started happening, people not wanting to do Next Rammus anymore.
Imagine spending 3 hours, spending 160, 120 gold to respec over to DPS, to farm out consumables, spending the 60 gold to respec back to healer, using all of the consumables, going into Nax Ramus, clearing all of the trash, pulling the boss, having one person fuck up, and losing all of that progress and having to re-kill the entire trash again. God, I cannot wait for vanilla. It's gonna be fucking amazing.
Oh no,
Or
Classic's
which
gonna
led
be
in-
dead in a month, dude.
True,
It's gonna be
dude.
over.
Nobody's gonna play
Nobody's
that game.
gonna. No, I mean, everybody will be burned through the content. It's gonna be done. It's over, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking more.
To us not getting any further. And that eventually led into our guild eventually breaking up. We managed to kill Instructor
Yeah, I
Resuvius,
bet.
Anubrakan, and Patchwork, but after that we pretty much reached a dead
Yeah.
We were tired of wiping,
What?
piping, pointing fingers. We
Yeah.
just gave up.
Hold on.
We left the guild and we went our own way, and that was pretty much the end of our guild.
That's sad.
Despite all the great times we had in Black Malaria, Molten Core, and the fun,
Great times in
we
Molten Core.
Next 40 just destroyed our guild. I know it sounds dramatic, but it really happened that way.
That happened in
And,
TOS to
and
mine.
trust me, it happened for so many guilds. And so many people will tell the exact same story I'm telling now. It destroyed guilds because it wore on you so bad. It was, as I said before, brutal.
It was a cock and
Not
the
only
ass.
that, imagine the lag and the horrible frame rate players had to deal with.
At 70,
Imagine
it was
trying
still
to
hard.
do a raid with 39 other people throwing around spells and killing tons of mobs. I mean, my computer back then was considered to be a pretty decent gaming computer, and even that thing struggled to get more than 25 frames per second. Compare that with WoW today, where even the most basic gaming PC will
12
have
FPS
no
is really
trouble
good.
running WoW at 60 frames per second on medium settings.
Okay, what is this? How Mixer killed Ninja's career.
Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by MeUndies. To get 15% off your first pair, free shipping,
Okay.
and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/InsideGaming. Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Tuesday.
It's Twitch Oh, no. It's Mix Tuesday.
Ooh.
We're getting down with the mixer.
Ninja made
Ooh.
headlines a few months ago when he announced that he was leaving Twitch, the platform that helped make him famous, for Mixer, a much smaller streaming platform backed by Microsoft.
Yeah, it was a massive defection that made headlines even in the mainstream press.
My
Ninja's
dad
that
heard
rare
about
crossover
this.
Video game
What?
celebrity,
Big deal.
And having him join Mixer gave credibility to the platform instantly.
I did it!
Ooh, yeah. Now that we're a couple of months out from the Ninja Twitch breakup back in August, we have some data on how that arrangement is going, and it's
Okay.
really not good for Ninja or Mixer.
A tale as old as time. Lose-lose.
Yeah, Ninja's relevance on many platforms, not just Twitch or Mixer, has dropped like a rock, meaning he may have kind of sunk his career by moving off the platform where he built his success.
Ninja bites the hand that streams him?
Millionaire worth a few less million.
Millionaire does Family Guy impressions for no one. For only...
I feel like that was already kind of happening, right? It's like Ninja was doing okay, right? But he was declining in popularity already. This is happening even on Twitch. So the idea that this is some sort of like a specific thing that's been happening because of Mixer, I think that Mixer just accelerated it. Not that much though. Well, he was like at his peak, right? You think about it, he's getting like 200,000, 150. He's getting over 100,000 viewers regularly. And then whenever he was leaving, he was getting maybe like 30 to 40K or maybe 20K, 28K, 25K. That's substantially less.
Piles of cash.
So yeah, Ninja isn't the only one tossing his career away for a payout. Since then, we're seeing a number of other popular streamers jumping off of Twitch.
Yeah, Ninja was later joined by Michael...
I looked this up. Oh, I looked it up. Hold on. Man, I
By
practiced
Michael
it.
How about
Granola
Shroud?
Shack.
No.
Ninja was later joined by Michael... aka Shroud,
Shroud,
and
there
Corey
we go.
Michael, aka King Gathalion.
Both of these streamers also left big audiences
Yep.
on Twitch in favor of Mixer.
Grass is always greener. And now another big Twitch personality, Jack
I don't
Dunlop,
know about
aka
grass being
Courage,
greener.
also said he's leaving Twitch.
Get out of here, but not for Mixer this time around. Now he's going to YouTube. Courage is known
Yep.
for his Fortnite streams, but in a statement he said that he wants to make more content and develop new skills.
Well, YouTube is the place for that, I suppose.
Okay.
While Courage has more than 2 million followers on Twitch, he's also posted lots of non-gaming content, like comedy skits and parodies.
If I know one thing, when you do unscripted gaming content, people love it when you start doing scripted comedic bits. Can't get enough of it. So good luck to you, Courage. People eat it up. Lots of people are abandoning Twitch for greener pastures and sweet exclusivity deals that nobody will give
Yep.
details about. So is Twitch dead?
Has Ninja put the first nail in its coffin?
That's what some people were predicting. Brian, what's the story looking like?
No.
Well, short
No.
answer no, long answer also
No.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, according to reports from
to
streamer...
Oh, sorry, you can go.
Fire this man. I cleaned your laptop for
No
According to
way.
reports from Stream Elements and Newzoo, Ninja's jump to Mixer made a lot of headlines, but it didn't really have that much of an impact on the platform's actual growth.
What a
Ninja
surprise
announced
there.
the move in August to Mixer, but in the following months, it hasn't translated into many more viewing hours.
When it comes to total hours watched, Mixer actually saw a decline. It had more than 90 million hours watched for the third quarter, but that's down more than 10% from the previous quarter.
Shit.
Still, though, that's more than double the hours watched on Mixer from a year ago.
Does that mean that Ninja's presence on Mixer actually flattened other streams? Like maybe he just overshadowed and smothered all the other smaller streamers? I don't know.
wow.
Click
Yep.
headline number
Yeah.
1, Ninja killed Mixer! You can already see the thumbnail like clip art of somebody stabbing him in the back. No.
Oh,
We
that's
went
the
with
one
other
they
clickbait
used.
today, which we'll be justifying in just a minute.
Yeah,
because
that's the one
how you
they
play
used.
the game, kids.
But there's some good news for Mixer too.
Yeah,
Its total number of hours streamed, which is the content being put out by its streamers, is more
Yeah.
than 32 million. It was tripled compared to the second quarter.
Yeah, and it doubled the number of unique channels streaming on the platform at nearly 4 million. It's an interesting mixed bag,
I
basically.
bet they probably lost money off of that because of the fucking bandwidth that they need to go ahead and broadcast all those people streaming their game to nobody. It's actually kind of funny the way that works.
There are more people on Mixer and more people streaming Mixer, but fewer people
People streaming their game.
unique channels streaming on the platform at nearly 4 million. It's an interesting mixed bag,
I
basically.
bet they probably lost money off of that because of the fucking bandwidth that they need to go ahead and broadcast all those people streaming their game to nobody. It's actually kind of funny the way that works.
There are more people on Mixer and more people streaming Mixer, but fewer people watching the content. Ninja did lend relevancy to the platform in some respect as other people signed up and decided to start streaming on the platform, but that doesn't necessarily mean a lot of viewers followed.
You have to wonder if that'll turn it around because they're making a body of content for
No.
people to consume later. Does it archive the same way?
There's no way, dude. There's no way,
I
dude.
have no idea.
If we just keep making trash and we make enough of it, somebody will come watch it. See,
Olive
meanwhile,
Garden. They just make trash and then people come for it.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
I'm coming for you, Olive Garden. Taking a hard line.
Christ,
What's wrong with
did we
Olive
really
Garden?
need
You're
to bring
here,
Olive
you're my
Garden to this?
enemy.
Yeah, meanwhile,
What
Twitch
the
continues
fuck?
to be a beast. It had more than 2.5
Yeah.
billion hours watched in the third quarter, up from 2.4 billion in the second quarter. So it is still growing in actual video consumption.
And if you look at the overall streaming pie, Mixer is
Why'd they
still
never
a
show
really
clips
small
of me?
player. It currently has 3.2% of the live streaming market, and that's a growth of just 0.2% compared to the previous quarter.
3.2 to 0.2, so that's 3% growth. I mean, that's kind of a lot whenever you think about it. 3% growth is a pretty good amount.
Meanwhile, Twitch is still doing just fine. It's got a 75.6% of the streaming market, up 3.4% from the second quarter. So it's actually gaining market share despite ostensibly losing some of its biggest creators. Mixer's not the smallest player out there, though, are they, Brian?
Compared to the biggest players, it's smaller than Facebook Gaming, that has 3.7%, and then YouTube Gaming, which has 17.6%.
YouTube-
So Mixer's still like
YouTube gaming's actually pretty big. Like, people don't realize this. They sleep on YouTube, but YouTube's actually a
Exotic cars? What? Of course it does. Yeah. Incredible. Who? Okay. They're gonna
Anyway, so here's Robert Wright,
post one.
and he says there's no reason to bail out big companies. That's what he says. There's not even a reason to do it. What? Hang on, let's listen.
From the global financial crisis, and you look at where we are today with the major stimulus coming out of Congress and potentially trillions more. Are these the type of bills? Are these the type of spending packages that are going to maybe rectify some of the damage, some of the inequities that were exacerbated after the global financial crisis, or is it just going to make them worse?
Well, the bailout part of the big bill, I think, is unnecessary. Big companies don't need to be bailout. You don't have to bail out airlines and aircraft and Boeing. I mean, these companies have already been through bankruptcy several times. They know how to handle their debts. They have a lot of collateral. It's a waste of taxpayer money. On the other hand, giving each individual in the United States $1,200.
So just let me stop. It's a waste of money. We don't have to do this. And they did it immediately before they even did health care.
No, can I just have to. I know.
And your progressive leaders let it happen. They put up no resistance to it whatsoever. They let it happen. Go ahead. What?
You know, the only problem for me was, for some reason, the beginning of this, the audio made me
They actually
immediately think
are
it was
internet
Michael Craig.
cookies.
Oh,
How do they work?
What?
Is fine. It's a step in the right direction. But in terms of what a family actually needs to live on during a crisis like this, when we want people to be home, it's a drop in the bucket.
Cookie is a small piece of data sent from a website stored on a user's computer by the user's web browser while the user is browsing.
That's why they had to vote for it.
They had to.
They had to, because for the $1,200, former Secretary of Labor under Clinton calls the Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi stimulus bill an insult.
Because the data in cookies doesn't change, cookies themselves are harmful. They can infect computers with viruses. Although some cyber-attacks can hijack cookies and therefore browsers utilizing their ability
just so you
to
know,
track an individual's browser history.
That's the bill Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer put together, and then Bernie Sanders and the squad all voted for. The former Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton calls it as an insult.
Yeah, you should delete cookies on
and also unnecessary. They didn't even have to do it. So what they should have done was taken that $4.2 trillion and given it in everybody's pocket right now. But of course they didn't do that. They didn't even give you health care. Now Bernie Sanders has to pretend like he's going to somehow pull it off when Trump's already out in front of him.
So when we talk about stabilizing the economy and potentially stimulating the economy, is there some sense here, though, that you do need to, at times, in certain circumstances, work from the top down? The idea being that is, if you don't save the airlines, and there won't be jobs left for the people who originally had worked there. Is there the sense here that if you don't sort of prop up these industries and give them sort of the capacity to sort of get back up and running to where they were before, that maybe the damage could be worse from a bottom-up approach?
Well, for very big companies, I think that's a form of trickle-down economics. We've tried it several times before in terms of subsidies and tax cuts and so on. It really doesn't work. Nothing trickles down to average people.
So, of course, the Bloomberg employee's question is, look, don't we have to give money to the corporate? Don't we have to give it to the top first and let it trickle down? Because if we give it to the bottom first, it might not work. That's what he said. That's what that guy works at Bloomberg. And what did Robert Reich say? No, of course not. You're saying it's going to trickle down. That's not how it works. It never does. Never, ever does. But this is the bill that everybody just voted for. 96 to nothing.
These big companies, again, they can take care of themselves, and they will take care of themselves, and they'll make sure that whatever money is given to them somehow gets the top executives and the biggest shareholders. No, I think that what we really do need to do is take a deep breath and say the people who need help are the people we want, and these are average Americans. We want people to stay home for their own good. This is not about stimulating the economy. It's about a health crisis, and that health crisis requires that people shelter in place. And when they shelter in place, they need money to pay the bills, to pay the rent, to get food, to just simply stay and keep their families safe. That's what this is all about.
So if Robert Reich knows this, Congress knows it too.
It's a furious.
So why would they do this? Because they do what
Pilot
the
space tanks
tell them to. And you go, but Jimmy, the squad and Bernie, they don't take corporate money. They do what the party tells them to do.
That's fun.
They do what their leader tells them to do.
What?
Because Bernie doesn't want to end up
I
like
didn't hear about
Ralph
this game
Nader.
before.
And just like any politician.
Oh shit! $5.
So they didn't even have to do this. Have you heard any progressive politician say that? That they didn't even have to do this? Have you heard anybody say that?
Where'd you find this? Somebody sent it to you?
Yes.
Because I haven't seen this anywhere.
Mark Van Landy.
Ah, nice work, Mark.
There you go. Has anybody told you that they didn't even need to do this? And then the next question a reporter would ask, then why didn't you object to your leadership? Why didn't you call them out? That would be the next question. Why didn't you call them out if this bill isn't even necessary? Why are you voting for it? No, because they are not going to cross Nancy Pelosi, and they're not going to cross the media, because they don't want to take the wrath of the media, and they don't want to take the wrath of Nancy Pelosi. You tell fucking me why they voted for it. Nancy Pelosi, first thing she said when she came out and gave a speech about what they were doing on the stimulus, she said, "We are united." That's the first thing she said. Who gives a shit if you're united? That's her showing how good I am. See, I got fucking everybody to go along with this. That's what Nancy Pelosi said. We are united. Yes. So.
Yeah, well, she was the one who had the great idea of making the vaccine affordable.
Yeah. First thing she said, we're going to make the vaccine affordable.
You know, this whole crisis has exposed the ugliness of our politics
server.
and the lack of representation for the people.
All right.
It's overwhelming.
And so here's another thing I found out. So why didn't
someone joined last time?
How much would you pay per year under Bernie Sanders' health care plan? Where are you going to come up with $30 trillion? Bernie doesn't tell you how much it's going to cost, how he's going to pay for it. Here's how much you would pay for it. So let's say you made $70,000 a year, eh? Your bill would be $1,600 a year for health care.
A year?
A year for health care. That's it.
Not a month, a year?
If you made $60,000, it'd be $1,200 a year. If you made $50,000, it'd be $800 a year. And if you made under 30, it wouldn't cost you anything. If you made $30,000 a year, they'd charge you $40 for your health care. If you made $40,000, they'd charge you $400. And it goes all the way up to, if you made $1 million, they'd charge you $38,000 a year for your health care. If you made $1 million. Right now, we pay about $20,000 a year for our health care. And all they're going to do is charge a millionaire is $38,000. So I don't know why he never said this. Like, I don't know if he did say it. He never said it when I watched him. And I certainly watched him a lot. How are you going to pay for it? This is what it's going to cost. If you make $50,000 a year, it's going to cost you. I don't know why. And Bernie's cradle to grave health care includes dental, mental, vision, hearing, and in-home care for seniors. No insurance premiums, no deductibles, yearly $200 prescription cap, no huge copay bills. ACA Obamacare funding is $49 trillion over 10 years. Bernie's Medicare for All is $32 trillion over 10 years. Saves trillions of dollars. Why couldn't he say that? He barely, when Joe Biden's, how are you going to pay? Joe, it saves us trillions of dollars. And the only reason you don't know that is because you're paid not to know it. Just like the people in the news, because they're funded by Big Pharma right now. They're going to go to a commercial for a drug.
Yep.
Anyway. I don't understand. He has horrible campaign. He had a horrible campaign. Glenn Greenwald, I watched the show. As I told you, he makes the critique that, which was, thank God, back what I was saying. You know, when Bernie would say, "Oh, Donald Trump was the most corrupt president," I said that gets you nothing. That doesn't get you anything. Why do you want to sound just like every other Democrat? Why did you do Russiagate? Because you're not smart enough and nobody in his campaign was smart enough to get out from underneath Russiagating himself. which he ended up doing. I said, as soon as you do this, it's going to come back, and of course it did. They Russiagated themselves. Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?
Yeah. Wait, I was in the server? I think it's 2. It just came out 2 days ago.
Albion Online is a Western-made isometric sandbox MMORPG that has a mixture of both PvP and PvE content, with the end game being more focused around massive guild vs guild battles to own territories and full loot PvP. Albion Online is one of the few successful crowd-funded MMOs to have released, raising $10 million from 250,000 backers during development. In 2019, the game went from a buy-to-play business model to free-to-play, and since then has been booming in player population, sometimes with queues just to get into the game. As of making this video, Albion features content in the form of solo and group world randomized dungeons, world bosses, player and guild islands, faction flag PvP, expedition dungeons, an in-depth gathering and crafting progression system, arena PvP, duo and 5-player hellgates, and Zerg vs Zerg territory battles. This is my main character that I've played on and off when just playing the game in my spare time over the years, but we're going to create a new character because I have no idea what the new player experience is like nowadays. A few different character presets. As you can imagine with the art style, the character creation isn't anything too crazy. Choice to be a male or female, this will do. She looks like a fucking bodybuilder, doesn't she? I've just woken up, so my creative juices aren't flowing when it comes to a name. RuneScape win. Tick this box if we want to check out the tutorial. So we end up shipwrecked on an island. Go here, talk to this bloke, climb the lighthouse. I've got a sprinting ability, makes me run very fast. This tutorial is completely different to what I played when I first played Albion. Gather rough stone and logs. Throughout the world in Albion, there's lots of different resources that you can gather, and crafting is a big aspect of this game. So you can gather rocks, ores, chop trees down, gather bushes. It's a very crafting and life skill heavy type of game if that's the type of play style that you want. Craft ourselves a sword. In Albion, your abilities depend on what weapons and armor
the player calls and reinforcements for
this chest
allies.
gives me the mend wounds ability. These boots give me the sprint ability, and as these pieces of gear level up in tier, you have more choices of abilities to pick from. Go to the gate, get ready to fight. Fairly basic combat early on. So the game's given me a brief overview of this crazy Destiny board, which is essentially a giant talent tree. However, in Albion, you can eventually specialize in everything, although it does take an incredibly long time. Go to the marketplace. It wants me to buy a horse or a donkey. And there it is. We've got our donkey. Now the game's teaching me how to craft my gathering tools. Pickaxe, beginner axe, skinning knife, stone hammer, and then we just need a sickle, then we've got everything. I'm basically at the tutorial island at the moment, and then the game's got 2 different continents. The world's bloody huge in this game. There's so many things on the map that I just don't really understand what they are. Seems to be a bloody world boss here. So this fox is a tier 2 creature, and when I kill it, I'm going to be able to skin it for tier 2 leather or hide. Quite a beautiful forest area. Zoom in if I want to. You can't rotate the camera in this game though, it's fixed position. There we go. Okay, wood has been chopped. Okay, now it's snowy all of a sudden. Well, that escalated quickly, didn't it? Gather some cotton, mine some ore. So these resources that I've gathered are unrefined. To be able to craft with them, you need to refine them. Use the ore with the smelter to get bars. Use the hide with the tanner to get leather. Logs with the lumber mill to get planks. Cotton with the weaver to get cloth. So with these resources I've refined, I need to help repair the ship. Add, and the ship's repaired. This guy's tier 2, he's a big deal. My quest is to just grind here until I've got enough points to become a trainee. So now the game teaches you about the learning point system. So as you can see, I've earned a certain amount of fame into becoming a trainee fighter. But I have a learning point, so I can spend that to essentially skip the grind to level 1. Here the game's telling me that you can mix and match any armor and weapon. You can be a plate wearing mage if you want to. You can have 2 pieces of leather and 1 piece cloth. And there it is, we're fully equipped in tier 2 gear, plate boots, cloth chest, leather head, and we're using a sword and shield. I've got 5 abilities now as well, which is nice. Create a distraction by killing heretics. Okay. Big damage. Oh my god, my damage isn't big enough. We run. Okay, yeah, I've kind of pulled everything there. Got a very fast donkey right now. Okay, everything's exploding. Oh god. Oh, these guys are easy. Light the signal fire. And that is the tutorial of Albion Online. Now I've got the choice to start in 5 different biomes by the looks of it. Desert, forest, mountain, swamp, or highland. Never been to the desert before, let's go there. At the end of the tutorial, you get given 3 days premium membership. Looking at the map here, all of these workshops are tier 3. I don't really want to spend any more time on this character though. I'm just going to jump over to my main character and experience all of the new content that's been added. So this is my mage Kenshiro. He's a mage that uses cloth boots, cloth chest, but a plate helm. This is my gear at the moment, lots of tier 5 stuff. Recently, with all the updates to this game, the population has really gone through the roof. Look at all of the players near the marketplace. You can't see the NPCs. In Albion Online, your bank storage is local to the town you're in, because each of the marketplaces are also local to that city. So the marketplace for this city is going to be different to this city. They're going to have different prices. And the items that you store in your bank in this city will not appear in your bank if you go to this city. This is what I was looking for. Around the map there's these green rifts that open, and they're called solo randomized dungeons. They're a really good way to grind fame as a solo player. Sometimes you join these and another player's already clearing it though, which can be a pain. I really like Frost Mage in this game, it feels so powerful. Found some kind of buff. What does this do? Lots of books spawning on me. Oh god, I'm gonna die. No! Live! Fuck off! Oh god, we're alive. I've actually got some buff food here, I should probably use it. Casting speed and cooldown reduction 13.5%. Here I've got myself a boss, let's just pop all of my cooldowns and everything on it. Big damage. I've got some crazy casting speeds talents, so I have a lot of damage. And now I can loot the treasure chest. She has a lot of health, we need big damage. I don't think I can avoid that damage, I'm just gonna sit here. Oh, can avoid that. Dodge. I wish this game had an actual dodge. Big damage, take her out. There it is. Anything good? Runes, souls. I don't know if these things are worth anything. Okay, another rift. This one looks like it might be empty though. After they're fully cleared, they should just disappear so you don't waste your time by going in them. Found another one, please be empty. Now at the end of another solo dungeon, and I've got the Morgana Tormentor boss. I don't think I've ever fought this one before. Oh my god, I'm getting fucked. Oh my god, I'm getting CC'd all day long. Oi. A lot of things to dodge, and with 200 ping, it's not easy. Kill him! Oh no! Oh, I hate my fucking ping. The servers for Albion Online seems to be in America, so I've got 240 ping. Come on. Okay, we got him. I've just hit 30 out of 100 for Frost Mage, so now I can use tier 6 weapons. Daily maintenance. Really? This game has maintenance every day. Big damage. Kill him. Yes. The last chest I opened gave me a Master's Assassin tier 6 hood quality good. I don't know if I can sell that for some decent money, but seems cool. There's these little forts in the middle of the zone, and I have no idea what they're for. They've got these champion bosses in the middle. For those 3 tier 5 solo dungeons I just did, I made about 100k. Not bad at all. The difference between the most expensive best staff I can find in the game and my staff is 30 DPS. It's really not that much. From what I can tell, gear isn't super important in this game, but I might be wrong. I've decided I want to re-roll from playing a mage and try out something else, but luckily Albion Online has this inbuilt feature where you can respec quite easily. I can click on my staff on the progression board, then lower this, and it gives me fame credits, which I can then spend on other weapons. So this is my character now. He looks pretty cool, I think. Right, let's test out this new build, shall we? I haven't tested out any melee stuff yet, so it's gonna be new for me. Big damage. Okay. Oh god, there's another player. Wait, he's leaving. Oh god, I thought he was trying to fight me. Tome of Insight unlocked. For what? Okay, that was my daily bonus apparently. Let's see how well this build takes on bosses.
Cool.
Yeah, this is really nice. I think I'd be struggling with this boss on my mage character. Dead boss, pretty decent loot I think. Probably would have struggled with this boss on my mage, but some more soldier's boots in the chest. Arena Master, okay. That sounds fun. So this game has different seasons with like a guild leaderboard of who's the best guilds, I guess. I've got mail from almost 3 years ago. Someone wants to duel me. Let's give it a try. Go. Don't really know what I'm doing, but we can try my best. Big damage. Big damage. I don't really know what I'm doing. I think it's a close fight. Come on, kill! Oh my god, I want a duel. Sweet. I think he has better gear than me as well. Get wrecked. Let's try fighting this mage. Duel, let's go. Okay. Wrecking this mage. Oh, big damage. Big damage. Nice. It seems as though the build I'm using is pretty good. Come on, Arena Q. Hurry up. Come on. You didn't accept the invitation in time. What are you talking about? Oh my god. The arena mode seems unplayable. Queue for an expedition, I guess. It won't let me be a DPS. Why? Sellsword expedition ready. I guess I'm teleporting to the dungeon now. I'm the tank apparently, so we'll see how that goes. I know aggro is a thing in this game, but I don't really want to respec to aggro. I wonder what the benefit of expeditions are. Seems really low fame. The money isn't great so far. No one's died yet, so I'm not doing that bad as a tank. Oh god, I'm taking so much damage. Sometimes in MMOs, when I'm tanking, I do like to stand in a little bit of AoE and a little bit of fire, just to keep the healer on his toes, keep him from not being bored. Run out of that. Oi! I don't know what that does. Lag, sorry. Little wiping. This is going more smoothly this time around. Okay, he's dead. GG. 8,000 silver. And a Master's Royal Sigil sells for 30k silver. Those expeditions really don't seem that worth it, so we're gonna PvP them for it.
Yeah, so there are players in here.
Oh, I didn't realize. This build does not work with my ping. Oh my god. Come on. Come on. Come on. CC. Oh god, I'm almost dead.
I got you. Don't worry, I won't let you
dead. Nice. Are you healing me? I feel like I'm getting carried. Oh, this is really fun. Right. Yes. That's really cool. I haven't really seen content like this in an MMO. These Hellgates. But it's a really cool idea. It's like 2v2 PvP VE. Wow, 10k fame for that. So this game has a bit of Farmville aspects to it, does it? There's a lot to this game, isn't there? Like initially, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to it. There's actually quite a lot. Big damage, let's go. Ooh, nice! That was some good burst. I got a kill. Come on! Yes! Got him.
Fuck.
Oh, big damage! He got
Nice.
fucking nuked. Got him. Bomb. So low. Got him. Ice block. Ice blocking on the point.
Come to me. No, alright. It was tough.
Defeat. Okay, so we are entering a red zone. Do you lose all your stuff now?
No. Well, I could if someone came in here. If a blue came in here right now, I could lose all my stuff.
He's orange. He's fighting. Come on, big damage. Oh! Ooh. Quite a pathetic first open world kill, but there we go. There's another one. 5v5 Hellgates must be fun. Yeah, he's not running.
But he's this kind of seems
let's
baity,
back off a little bit. Let's back off. Yeah, run, dude.
Yeah, there they come. There they come. Here they come. All right, yeah, just get out of here.
Try to mount up.
Yeah, just mount up. I should be
Fucking run. There's 5 of them. I'm glad I decided to run like 2 seconds before his friends jumped out of the portal. Man, it's really fucking hard to like gank someone in this game. I thought it would be a lot easier. Oh, I'm almost dead. Oh, this has not gone too well for us.
It hasn't. Where Fox is gonna end my life.
I got the achievement, welcome to Albion, killed by another player. So this entire continent's the Outland.
Right, this entire continent.
Wow. And this is all black zone. Oh, I think I'm getting killed.
Oh shit.
Oh, I'm dead, okay.
Dangerous out there in the Outlands.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them just waiting by the portal to gank and 5v5 Hellgates. Oh. I automatically get up. Okay, don't stand in the fire. I really underestimated the damage that they do. Let's go. So we skip the small mobs. Here we go. Big damage. Get in there, lads. Just kind of pressing everything. This is full loot, by the way. Oh god. And we're dead. Fuck me. Enlist in Bridge Watch faction. Okay. Full loot PvP rules apply in all zones, even blue and safe zones for faction flagged players. Whole gang looking lit with the orange capes. Yeah. It does feel fun in any MMO, I think, to go around in a big group of people looking for PvP. Yeah, here. Get in there, big damage. First blood, okay. Get looted. That's our first open world kill. I like that we've got ourselves a little army. We go around. Okay, quick. Is he dead? Yoink. How did he die? Charge. Big damage, let's go. Kill this guy. There's one. Okay, back up, give him space to push out. I kind of wish you could rotate the camera in Albion Online though. I can imagine this would be really fun if you had everyone in like Discord or something. This way, team. There's lots of them over here. Come here in this little choke point. This one's dismounted. Go. Get on him. Here we go. This guy's screwed. Got him. Nice. Well played. Okay, back up. We're not in a good position. Back. All the way back. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let them push into the choke point. Wait for our healer. Oh no. It's all falling apart. They conjured a big team. And that was that. These people want to fight. Seems like an organised group though. We're not doing it, are we? They had quite a lot of people. I thought it was 4 people, but then more popped out. Yeah, I'm in a red zone now because it was hard to find group dungeons in the yellow zones. Let's just see what a boss feels like without a healer. Oh no, don't pull more. Okay, reset it, run backwards. There's another player right here. I don't understand what that player's doing. I just want to see what one of the bosses is like. Oh, okay. So I'm back once again with yet another reroll, and this time I'm playing a healer. 100% hard support, holy staff. Let's jump into some arena and see if it's any fun. Maybe the queue times for healers are a bit faster. Okay, I guess they are. This is either going to be really fun or it's going to be an absolute disaster. Big heals. Oh god, this one's low. Well, I'm holding this spot. Heal! Heal! Oh, heal! Heal! Oh my god. Oh, that barrier is so annoying. Okay, this is actually so fun. I feel like I'm just dictating these fights, just keeping everyone alive. This healing is by far the most fun I've had in Albion Online so far. By far. Maybe I'm just a healer. Maybe that's just my thing. Oh my god, we won arena. 30 assists. I'll take that. Did the other team not have a healer? The other team did have a healer. It looks like I finally found the thing that I enjoy doing in Albion Online, and it's healing. Player-owned islands. So, to go there, I need to purchase an island. I can expand my island for more building plots. Okay. Islands have different levels to them. Mine's currently 2 out of 6. Novice house. Let's go. Pay. Nice. So now what? We add the wood, we add the rock, we add the blocks, and we've got a house. It's a little bit smaller than I thought it would be, to be honest, but we have a house. Oh, okay. Is this going to be a successful Hellgate? Big damage. Nice. Let's see what he's got on him. Tier 4, let's go. 5 Adept's Tomes, so that's 50k of XP in Tomes. I got a Tier 7 Grandmaster's Mercenary jacket. Kill him? Come on. Yes! What did he drop? Just Tier 4 stuff. Good luck.
Hi, my friend.
Oh, that was easy. Slash dance.
Yeah.
Nice. This is like 100k XP per win because you get these tomes. Probably more. Well, I'm lagging.
I gotta run and go in.
I'm getting fucked by these mobs. I'm dying to mobs.
Oh no, are you lagging that hard? Oh.
I think I got you. I got you.
Should have had
my
a two-man
damage.
stun there. I don't understand.
Oh, my heal me.
Ability to keep yourself alive.
Oh,
killed him!
Well played.
Get fucked on!
Oh god, I'm being chased, I think. Oh,
There's a dude.
I'm a bit
There's
spooked.
a dude next
I'm a bit
to you there.
spooked. I'm a bit spooked. Oh, then
Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today we're taking a look at the top 10 worst game launches of all time. Now, I'm not going to be talking about games that just had a few rough days at launch. These are games that had game-breaking bugs upon launch, ones where developers completely lied about what the game was about, busted servers, DRM issues, lawsuits, and more. Now, whenever we make these lists, there's always a few games that get cut, but some of them are worth mentioning, and I'll put those in the honorable mentions. First off, we have WWE 2K20, which had one of the most laughably bad launches ever. Characters would clip through objects, they glitch out and collide with each other in bizarre ways. There's an endless sea of glitch compilations on YouTube for this game. It's by far one of the most broken games ever released. As for why it launched in this state, the explanation is even crazier. The longtime developer of the franchise, Ukes, dropped the development of the game just months before launch, leaving another 2K-owned studio, Visual Concepts, to finish the game. Needless to say, they were unable to finish the game in time. Our next honorable mention, Duke Nukem Forever, was in development for 15 13 years. It was the long-awaited proper sequel to the original Duke Nukem 3D, which was a landmark title from 1996 that rubbed shoulders with the likes of Doom, Quake, and Unreal. Duke Nukem Forever went into development in 1997, but was delayed multiple times until the developer, 3D Realms, was sued by their publisher and development was moved to Gearbox Studio. Gearbox finished the game and launched it in 2011 to overwhelmingly negative reviews. Over a decade of anticipation for Duke Nukem Forever couldn't hide the fact that the game looked like it was 5 years old and ran horribly. Alright, moving on to the actual top 10 list. Starting off with number 10, we have Half-Life 2. I know what you're probably thinking, wait, wasn't Half-Life 2 a masterpiece? Isn't it one of the most highly regarded games of all time? Well, its launch certainly wasn't. Valve launched their Steam client and storefront alongside Half-Life 2 and also required installing Steam to play the game. It was one of the first times a major developer pushed not only online DRM, but their own game client on players. And naturally, the demand for Half-Life 2 quickly overwhelmed Valve's servers. Signing into Steam frequently broke shortly after the game's launch, meaning gamers around the world just couldn't play. And although many of us view Steam in a very positive light these days, the Steam that launched back in 2004 was buggy, it was a mess, and didn't have anywhere near the same technical features and fluidity that it does nowadays. So pairing that with Half-Life 2 certainly brought clients in, but Valve was not yet ready for them. Game number 9 on the list is Batman Arkham Knight. Rocksteady had been printing money with their Batman franchise of detective brawler games. Arkham Knight was set to be the most ambitious and potentially last title in the franchise. It finally added a drivable Batmobile, a larger Gotham City to explore, updated visuals, and more. Unfortunately, it was also a performance nightmare. Performance issues on PC rendered the game unplayable for many users. At launch on PC, the game was capped at 30 FPS. This could be unlocked with a few tricks, but doing so broke the game's physics engine. It also ran poorly in general, even on top-end PCs for the day. Frame rates were in the teens, along with frequent stutters that made the game just feel unpolished, barely playable, despite its impressive visuals. The day after launch, June 24th, 2015, the game's publisher halted sales of Arkham Knight on PC. And it wasn't until October of 2015 that the game was available again on PC. It relaunched with a significant update and unlocked the frame rate, addressed many of the performance issues, and also bundled all the DLC with the game. Unfortunately, many issues like stuttering and low FPS in some areas are still a problem to this day on modern hardware. Recently, a Reddit user discovered a potential fix for the game's stutters, but it's still a work in progress and should have been handled by the developers to begin with. Number 8 on this list is Dark Souls. Now you might think that this game launched fine, considering it's a modern masterpiece of gaming, but that's only thanks to a dedicated modder that fixed the game 23 minutes after it officially launched. Dark Souls was originally a console exclusive title for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and a petition asking the developers from Software to make a PC port reached 95,000 signatures. In response, From announced a PC port in April 2012. It eventually launched 11 months after the original console release. However, leading up to the PC version's launch, From Software acknowledged that the port would not be ideal. They said it wouldn't address the game's notorious frame rate issues and would be locked to a resolution of 1024 by 768. Dark Souls was also designed to run at 30 FPS, which meant playing at 60 or above broke certain aspects of the game, such as jumping and dodging attacks. Now, Durante's mod for the game, DS Fix, went live 23 minutes after Dark Souls launched and became an essential fix for the game. It let users set a proper rendering resolution for the game, unlock the frame rate, and also supported swapping textures with community-made assets. And despite the mod becoming basically a necessity to play the game, From Software never built upon the modder's work or fixed the game. It wasn't until they released Dark Souls Remastered in 2018 that the game officially got a proper PC port with a functioning 60 FPS mode and different resolutions. To make things even worse, Dark Souls also had the fine distinction of being a Games for Windows Live title, requiring users to use Microsoft's terrible excuse for online server support. Had it not been for Durante's mod, Dark Souls likely would have been one of the worst PC ports ever made. Number 7 is a classic EA blunder, but one so big that it essentially killed the franchise. SimCity from 2013 was a massively hyped game that had huge departures from the previous titles in the franchise, but it had a disastrous launch that forced developers to disable core features and created a nearly unplayable experience for the first several weeks of the game's launch. SimCity as a franchise had a legacy of being an exceptional game. Every new game was bigger and better than the previous one. Each game added new things to build and manage, more complexity and better visuals. SimCity 2013, on the other hand, had a playable area 1/4 the size of the previous game, and it required an internet connection in order to play. On launch, EA servers were overwhelmed by the demand for the game. This made logging in spotty at best and impossible for most. To mitigate the issues, EA disabled leaderboards, achievements, and many other features. However, the servers remained unstable for quite some time, and because the game relied on server-side saving, many saves were corrupted or deleted, leaving players who had been working on their cities for 20+ hours in a position where they simply had to start over or just stop playing the game. Not only that, but core features of the simulation experience didn't even function properly. The traffic system was so flawed that even if you had a perfectly designed city, a school bus could get stuck at an intersection, preventing your citizens from getting educated, and then the education level in your city would drop, making so that high-level tech jobs would become unemployed, which could result in things like a nuclear power plant not having any educated workers to operate it, and then it would melt down, destroying your entire city. All because a school bus glitched out at an intersection. Things got so bad that EA offered players a free game from a small list of popular titles, including Battlefield 3 and Mass Effect 3. Despite continuing to get patches and DLC content, SimCity 2013 is still a shadow of a proper SimCity title. Number 6 on this list is Diablo 3. Many gamers of my generation know exactly what they were doing the night Diablo 3 launched, because it certainly wasn't playing Diablo 3 despite their many attempts to do so. Blizzard's failure to predict player counts for the launch of the game was one of the industry's biggest disasters. The infamous Error 37 servers are busy message plagued players for weeks. And although our list today talks about many server issues at launch, this was paired with one of the most anticipated games of all time. Server issues aside, Diablo 3 also featured an auction house where players could put in-game items up for sale and buy them at an auctioneer with either in-game currency or actual money. Diablo 3 is a game in which you spent the vast majority of your time grinding for new items. Being able to just buy whatever high-level item you wanted fundamentally undermined the whole point of the game. Instead of spending time actually playing the game to get good items, players could just use the auction house to spec their character with the best loot. The auction house was removed shortly before Diablo 3's first major expansion, Reaper of Souls. The expansion launched alongside a massive update to the game called Loot 2.0 that reworked how loot was rewarded to players. And while the game still sold exceptionally well in its first year, it goes without saying that Blizzard's support of the game post-launch is ultimately what made it a long-term success despite its disastrous launch. Number 5 on the list is Watch Dogs. This title is one of the most high-profile launch disasters ever. Before the launch of Watch Dogs, Ubisoft had released several trailers showcasing the game's environments, gameplay, and mechanics. However, each subsequent trailer seemed to show the game's visuals and interactivity going down in terms of quality. The game started to look less and less like its original reveal at E3 2012. On release, the glaring differences like NPC density, visual effects, weather effects, environmental complexity, asset quality, and several other major things weren't anywhere close to what Ubisoft originally showcased. This was even true on PC, playing the game on ultra settings. Really though, the big issue is Ubisoft's original reveal of Watch Dogs showed a city alive with NPC activity and a level of immersion that seemed to rival even Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto. GTA 5 launched in 2013, and by the time Watch Dogs released the following year, it already looked dated and pale in comparison to Rockstar's juggernaut of an open-world game. Ubisoft failing to deliver games that look as good as their trailers became a massive issue for the company. Critics and content creators alike routinely slammed Ubisoft for showcasing vertical slices of their games as if they reflected reality. And despite Ubisoft really trying to win that title for false advertising, there's another game on this list that did it even better. Aliens Colonial Marines is our number 4 pick, and it actually resulted in legal action against the developers. Like with Duke Nukem Forever, Aliens Colonial Marines spent years in development hell. It took 6 years to make and was given to a third-party developer so that its main developer, Gearbox, could focus on Duke Nukem Forever and Borderlands 2. Now when I say focus on, what I really mean is use the money Sega gave Gearbox to develop Aliens to make Borderlands 2 instead. A trailer of the game debuted at E3 2012. It showed the game set in an alien universe brimming with the franchise's classic horror atmosphere. What ultimately launched in February the following year was a far cry from that trailer, to say the least. Visually, the quality of the game's environments, lighting, and interaction animations was dramatically different from the trailer. Instead of looking like an atmospheric horror shooter, Aliens turned out to be an incredibly generic action shooter. But even worse was the AI that controlled the alien enemies. Aliens would frequently wander aimlessly through levels, either totally ignoring the player or attacking in bizarre and unnatural ways. To add insult to injury, in 2017, a modder discovered a typo in the game's config files that broke the enemy AI. Fixing that typo actually makes alien enemies track and attack players correctly. Even with the fix though, it's clear the game just isn't up to par. The aliens are shockingly bland and repetitive enemies, all the levels feel barren and lifeless, and the game's story is a bit of a joke even compared to some of the Alien sequel movies. 2 players brought a class action lawsuit against Gearbox and Sega, claiming the game was falsely advertised. And while Gearbox were eventually dropped from the suit, it became clear through the process that Sega had caught them funneling money to other projects and canceled the game at one point, forcing Gearbox to lay off staff. The ordeal also exposed Gearbox's CEO, Randy Pitchford, as a polarizing public figure and the potential source of mismanagement at the company. Since then, Gearbox and Randy Pitchford's reputations have never fully recovered. Number 3 on the list is Fallout 76. For years, Fallout fans have dreamed of a multiplayer Fallout game. Being able to roam the wasteland with your friends has a certain ring to it that sounded like an ideal fit for the franchise. So people were elated when Bethesda announced Fallout 76, an open-world multiplayer Fallout game. That excitement quickly turned to disappointment though. At launch, the game featured numerous and glaring technical issues like poor performance, game-breaking bugs, server issues, cheating, and a lot more. An exploit that let players unlock their frame rate also let them increase their attack movement speed. This was an issue discovered in the game's pre-launch beta, but it wasn't patched until after the game officially launched. On top of that, the game's design was bizarre. It had no NPCs and an aimless endgame with basically nothing meaningful to do. Dropping multiple atom bombs, one of the game's heavily advertised features, also crashed the server. Really, what made Fallout 76's launch so bad was that it combined all the complexities of the multiplayer game with the classic jank Bethesda's game engine is infamous for. Fallout 76 doesn't just look like Fallout 4, it also shared many of the game's outdated technical qualities. So not only did Fallout 76 look outdated, the gameplay felt outdated. Between its outdated design, bad microtransaction systems, and their failure to fix many of the game's problems, the perception of Bethesda as a studio that puts out buggy masterpieces finally fell to reveal a company milking an aging technology and players alike. Now, number 2 on this list is a game that I think everyone expects to be here given my channel, Battlefield 5. Past Battlefield titles have all had rough launches. Battlefield 3 was poorly balanced and had a bunch of stability issues at launch. Battlefield 4 invented the need for a community test environment just to fix the game. But Battlefield 5 takes the cake for not just the worst launch in the franchise's history, but also the worst reveal. Battlefield 5's reveal trailer is an action-packed mess featuring bionic limbs, players wearing blue face paint, katanas, and an environment that makes you think, am I looking at a World War II game? In fact, literally that was my response and many other people trying to guess what the actual theme or era of Battlefield 5 was after watching the reveal trailer. And once it was confirmed to be a World War II game, people took issue with the fact that women were prominently featured on the front lines of battles that they never fought in. And as a response, EA's creative officer, Patrick Sutherland, told people not to buy the game if they didn't like that. Naturally, this enraged a huge portion of the gaming community and politicized a game that didn't need to be politicized. Upon launch, the game was clearly unfinished, only having received a fraction of development time that previous EA titles were given, and it had bugs in just about every major feature of the game, including progression systems, performance issues, vehicles not functioning correctly. And it wasn't just the severity of these bugs, but the sheer quantity and just how deeply ingrained they were to the game engine has made many of them unfixable still to this day, not only earning Battlefield 5 the title of one of the worst launches in its entire history, but probably making it one of the worst games of the franchise. Now, what could possibly be worse than that? Well, number one on our list goes to No Man's Sky. And unlike many other games on this list, its launch issues were a total surprise. For years leading up to the game's launch, its creator and project lead, Sean Murray, touted the game as a massive online adventure you could go on with friends while exploring an endless procedurally generated universe. It almost sounded like the next evolution of Minecraft and gaming in general, taking the focus of crafting and exploration into stars and space beyond. What ended up launching, however, was essentially a single-player experience of revisiting an infinite number of strikingly similar planets with plants and animals that all looked like distant cousins, while being forced to endlessly grind tedious tasks and quests that led to a weird conclusion that basically said, now do it all again. The lack of multiplayer felt like a direct betrayal and lie by the developers. Sean Murray had excitedly said you could play with friends deep into the game's press coverage and marketing campaigns. It was a central pillar of the game's supposed value, so when players realized they couldn't actually see each other or interact in any meaningful way with each other, they were understandably upset, to say the least. The most players could do at launch was claim their discovery so that other people could see their username next to it on planets and animals they had found. When it came to the gameplay, it was a mere shadow of what was advertised in the trailer. No epic fleet battles in space, you could merely shoot at a few pirates here and there. The worlds looked far less lush and alive compared to the trailer, and the extreme limitation of in-game activities felt like a complete lie and betrayal of what was advertised. Combining that launch with an extended period of developer silence before anything even changed for the game has earned No Man's Sky a number one on this list. And it should be noted that today the developers have added in many of the initial features that were promised with the game, although it's up to you whether or not that actually makes the game an enjoyable experience. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Let me know what you think of this top 10 list. Is there something else that you think should have been on here? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.
Raid Shadow Legends. One of the most popular videos I've ever done on the entire channel was just me complaining about and ripping on this game. I had a variety of different complaints, ranging from their persistent sponsorship attempts to their hilariously controlling script, but the main issue I have with Raid is that it's just basically one big marketing push that relies on false claims and high budgets to brute force their product down the throats of gaming fans all over the world. Raid has a simple and, unfortunately, very effective model. Pay YouTubers and streamers boatloads of cash to pretend they enjoy the game and get their audience to try it out. This is something they do all across the platform with all different types of creators, and it's gotten to a point where the game is itself a meme because of their persistence and the awful scripts. The obviously false intentions behind the words, as creators say, "You'll find me in-game," and have never even logged in past a couple of minutes to get enough footage to promote it as if it's their own life's blood. Or more recently, as a PR spokesperson for Raid said publicly on Twitter, "We never pay content creators, they promote us because they like the game." That's a whole video in and of itself, the claim by Raid, one of the most prolific and aggressive sponsorship seekers on all of YouTube, that they never pay content creators for sponsorships. That's actually a big deal because FTC laws require disclosure by those same creators, so their cover is blown right off the bat, and their proposals and contracts are floating around everywhere, which then shows, point for point, how they pay large sums of money for creators to say very exact words of promotion. Plarium Games, the producers of Raid, tried to clarify this statement later on by posting a Discord message screenshot, which was one of the least professional things I've seen in a very long time. They claimed that there was simply a moment of confusion, despite that confusion being nearly impossible to comprehend given the clarity of the thread where this all occurred. But regardless, the point is, Raid throws cash at creators to get viewers into their game, and it works. Before going further, side note, a quick shout out to commenter Kyle Musto, who certainly got massive feedback on the creation of this. So last video I just ripped on Raid Shadow Legends about that into why the game is what it is. For starters, the game is a gacha mobile title. The whole concept is randomization towards progression. There is no actual progression mechanic that can be reliably completed in a repeatable fashion. Instead, progression is tied to randomized champion unlocks, which are purchased in tiered packs with anything from in-game funds to actual real-world dollars. Another aspect to Raid is the aggressive advertising. There are invasive and obnoxious advertisements including menus that bombard the player constantly, and while the ability to play this game for free does certainly exist, the actual experience is quite clearly designed to elicit extensive and continued purchasing from users by leveraging slot machine-style randomization and Las Vegas-style advertising at every possible corner. Well, that comparison between Raid and Las Vegas is very deliberate here. Down we go into the wormhole of why Raid Shadow Legends is legitimately a games industry arm of the casino gambling industry, and why this game, more than almost any other in existence, exemplifies the now rampant infestation of gambling mechanics in video games. It all starts with Plarium Games, an Israeli game development company. Plarium Games is the creator behind Raid Shadow Legends, and Plarium Games was acquired by Aristocrat Leisure Limited in 2017 for a buyout price of $500 million. Aristocrat Leisure Limited is a casino gambling manufacturer, specializing in slot machines that are shipped all over the world. It is, in fact, one of the largest casino game manufacturing companies on the planet, and as of 2017, it was the full owner of Plarium Games, and thus, Raid Shadow Legends. A few notable quotes from a statement given by CEO of Aristocrat Trevor Crocker when speaking to GamesIndustry.biz read as follows: "Aristocrat has continued to deliver significant growth and outstanding results in our digital social casino business. The acquisition of Plarium allows Aristocrat to expand our addressable market into logical adjacent segments in a fast-growing mobile gaming market." That right there is already a
Yelp, follow 35% of staff. Holy shit.
it's just tragic that a young person can't see their own worth. And they're often just remarkably talented, remarkably capable, but we've beaten into them, and the story that somehow they aren't capable. And I think some of my clients are actually listening in, and I'm telling you, you guys, you're all capable and you're all wonderful people. So, but they don't believe it, and then it's this false narrative that just plays around like some sort of ping pong ball, or not ping pong ball, what was it? Pinball, but that bouncing around and just like repeating this, and you plant the seeds of that kind of negativity, and just like any other seeds, they grow. So they start believing that story, and life is bleak if you believe those stories. I mean, so it was really, how do you begin to pay attention to that stuff without it drowning you, and ultimately being able to laugh at some of it and just say, really, you've got to be kidding.
Yeah. When I was 18, I became homeless when I turned down the advances of a boss and started living in my car because I couldn't pay my rent that month because he fired me. And then my car got stolen, and I started stealing. I was having panic attacks. I was agoraphobic. I moved out at 15. I grew up in an abusive household. My dad grew up in an abusive household. My dad's childhood home was so stressful that when he went to Vietnam, it was relaxing. That's when he really realized, holy smokes, I'm in trouble. Vietnam feels calm to me. And so when he started trauma triggering as a single parent, he drank and it didn't go well, predictably. And I moved out very young, and I knew I didn't want to be a statistic. I knew the odds were really high of me being a statistic. I called it an emotional language at the time. The language my family spoke and that I inherited was a very predictable pattern that would lead to statistical behaviors of probably getting in a relationship that was abusive or getting in drugs and alcohol. So I knew I had to learn an emotional language, which is very daunting because there's no school.
CORONA.
But where do you go to school to learn new emotional languages? For me, I was reading philosophy at the time, and I had read Descartes, and he said, I think, therefore I am. And that seed was in my head. It wasn't until later, when I was homeless and I was 18. I was shoplifting one day. I looked in a mirror and I saw my image. I was a homeless kid stealing a dress, and I was a statistic. It didn't beat the odds. And I remember this quote by Buddha that said, happiness does not depend on who you are or what you have. It depends on what you think. And I thought, well, that's all I have left. Maybe I can turn my life around one thought at a time. But I couldn't figure out what I was thinking because I had so much anxiety, and anybody watching that has that type of anxiety knows you're out of your skin almost all the time. So I started watching my hands and making notes about what my hands did, because I figured that was my thoughts slowed down and cooled into action. And I could reverse engineer into what I was thinking. So I took notes. That was my huge plan. I left the store, I didn't steal the dress, and I started taking notes on my hands. It's the plan of an 18-year-old. But after 2 weeks, I had this amazing side effect. My anxiety virtually disappeared. And it was my first lesson. Mindfulness was not a word then, or a word I certainly had never come across. But it was teaching me presence. Because as you know, if you're in an observant or curious state, you're present. And mindfulness is just a fancy word for being consciously present. And so that caused me to start making these first little forays into experimenting with how my mind and my body connected and how I was wired. That if my brain was capable of being addicted, there must be a biological reason, right? It can't have been just a mistake. So how could I use it to my benefit? How could I get addicted to positive things? And so I started working on really specific
Findable and direct link to actual gambling methodology, which is now using RAID as a mechanism to expand their addressable market into logical adjacent segments in the fast-growing mobile gaming market. AKA, in layman's terms, get some mobile devs, make some gambling games disguised as actual products, market casino mechanics to a wider, unregulated audience, often underage, and rake in all the cash. It's pretty clear cut, but to go one step further, CEO of Aristocrat Trevor Crocker has now been appointed as chairman of the American Gaming Association. And the American Gaming Association is a gambling advocacy lobbying group which attempts to define further policy for the industry which can spur growth and increase revenue. The CEO of a gambling company that specializes in slot machines, who happens to also now be the chairman of a gambling policy lobbying group, is in control of Plarium Games, who in turn is in control of Raid Shadow Legends. Hopefully the comparison between Las Vegas and Raid Shadow Legends is now beginning to make a lot more sense. From the aggressive, always in-your-face advertising to the integral core mechanics of the game itself, Raid is a mini digital casino, with very few discrepancies. The thing is, the discrepancies that do exist are not a good thing. They are actually avoidances of key mitigatory factors which help curb the negative effects of actual gambling in the real world, and Raid has just managed to circumvent them. The largest and most immediate difference is cashing out. This is a fundamental component of casino gambling, at least the traditional kind, but also an avenue for profit fluctuation. The argument that Raid is not gambling because players cannot cash out their winnings is pretty much the cornerstone of their entire defense. However, if one cannot cash out, does that still eliminate the identity behind actions like spending real money on randomized rewards without knowing what you will receive, therefore gambling on certain outcomes that are better or worse? By removing this exit line of player capital, Raid has actually improved upon the existing casino model. In a Las Vegas slot machine room, you can go in, stake money, get lucky or unlucky, whatever it is, and cash out, then go home. If you get very lucky, you could walk away with millions of dollars. That is one of the most addictive aspects of casino gambling as a whole. But the basic function is that money can go in and money can come out, even at an extremely low chance, which can impact short-term revenue stability under certain circumstances. Now, casinos are obviously a massively profitable industry. I'm not saying that the cash out option fundamentally undermines their ability to retain player capital, but extending the phrase "the house always wins" from a definable percentage chance that it will win, say 54% of the time, as just an example here, to a 100% and indisputable certainty that any and all money you deposit immediately goes to the house exclusively, and you might get nothing back at all, but the house already won with no other outcome before you even took your shot. Which one do you think, honestly,
What
that
is
the
the
casino owners would
Saurian?
Using this new methodology as a jumping off point, the next major discrepancy is RTP. RTP means return to player, and casino slots have very well defined RTP values. In fact, you can look up the RTP for various different casinos online because they are actual legally enforced minimums. But to go even further, the competitive nature of casino gambling has spurred RTP values to fluctuate higher than the minimum value, somewhere around typically 97%. Mobile gaming does not have any form of RTP enforcement or even consideration. Players don't even think about it, publishers are delighted to be able to ignore it, and the ultimate values when compared to casino slots, like the slots produced by the now owner of Raid Shadow Legends, are horrifically low. Where 96 or 97% may be standard in Las Vegas, the return to player for character packs in a mobile game might be less than 2%. It's an imperfect comparison because RTP calculations rely on what percentage of money is coming back to the player, therefore a cash out option, and not what the value of the skin is that they acquired or the value of the character or the relative strength, etc. But this type of RTP gambling comparison can be done almost perfectly for a title like CSGO, which has skin gambling sites that do in fact facilitate cash outs. The bottom line is that by any and all metrics obtainable as of right now on the subject, gaming loot boxes, mobile character packs, or whatever else are in a world of their own entirely. They do not conform to existing player protection guidelines at all, not even close. The last discrepancy between legitimate casino slot machines and mobile gaming, in particular Raid Shadow Legends, is audience access. Vegas casinos are age restricted. Traditional gambling as a whole is highly regulated and unavailable to those under 21 years old. But mobile gaming makes no such distinction. In fact, mobile gaming has about as little age verification or restriction as could possibly be imagined. So the accessible audience for Aristocrat to expand their addressable market is not just larger, it is practically everyone. This behavior is present elsewhere in the games industry as well. I'm not trying to say it's just mobile gaming, but one of the largest mobile games in existence right now, certainly the most prolific on YouTube when it comes to sponsorships and marketing campaigns, can be traced backwards all the way to an actual stone-cold casino company who has now made it clear without any subterfuge at all that their goal is to expand their addressable market by leveraging gambling.
Hey, I'm not
in
sponsored
mobile
by
games.
that.
And that company is also
care.
under the direct corporate control of a man who simultaneously runs the largest gambling
Game
lobbying
sucks.
group in the world. Comparing Raid Casino Legends to Las Vegas is more accurate than any of us might like to acknowledge. The track record of Raid is at best annoying and at worst downright predatory. Lying about basic sponsorships or being incompetent enough to actually make that kind of error in the context of how it was made means that they are on the fence between dishonest or inept. Not to mention further issues like bought and paid for Google Play Store reviews, or lies in their promotional claims, and all the things that they're saying in their commercials, etc., etc. There's a very long list there. I often rail against the inclusion of gambling mechanics in AAA games, but rarely is there an example in the industry that is this well defined, or makes it this easy to demonstrate that certain titles and mechanics in the space are just a proxy for actual gambling companies to, again, by Trevor Crocker's own words, expand their addressable market into logical adjacent segments. Bottom line, where once I referred to the game as Raid Shadow Legends, I then switched over to calling it Raid Garbage Legends, and now I land on Raid Casino Legends. The world of casino gambling rakes in over $40 billion annually as of 2018. In 2019, mobile gaming hit almost $70 billion. A merger between these two industries, especially when one of them is free from the legal gauntlet of regulatory scrutiny, as of right now at least, but that's a whole separate topic, seems very obvious. That's it for today though. If you want to support, there are links down below: merch, Patreon, social media, typical YouTuber stuff, as well as another YouTuber establishing himself in the space. Please support his work. There's a link to his channel down below. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.
Go to the resource depot. Where are you? There you are.
Forget everything you knew about honesty and integrity, because one of the most ambitious mobile games of 2019 has just been released, and it's going to change literally nothing. Introducing Raid Garbage Legends. Playing Raid is the least immersive thing possible. We even made a button so the game plays itself and you actually do nothing, because that's totally what you love about RPG video games. It can only really be compared with the biggest PC and console titles, which is a complete lie, but that's okay because you can literally compare anything to anything else if you want. It's just a comparison. You can compare me to Jennifer Love Hewitt. Doesn't make it accurate, but rest assured, Raid definitely isn't a trashy mobile cash grab. It's really just as good as major PC and console games, for sure. I wouldn't lie about that for money. No way. In all seriousness, today I'm just gonna rip on Raid Shadow Legends because it's trash and the marketing for it is trash and it's annoying and I'm sick of seeing it, sick of being approached by it, sick of the emails, and sick of the money being offered with the clear expectation that I will regurgitate this disgustingly awful sales pitch, which is full of lies by the way, for a game I absolutely despise, to trick my own audience into spending money. Pretty much anyone who watches YouTube should know what Raid is. It's a turn-based mobile game, and it's probably one of the most prolific YouTube sponsorships out there on the entire platform, with hundreds of channels reading off the exact same script, word for word, and being paid handsomely to do it. This is where I should probably clarify something. I really shouldn't attack my fellow creators for accepting these deals. I kind of want to, if we're being honest, but YouTube isn't exactly the pinnacle of stability right now. Videos get demonetized, COPPA is hanging over us, algorithmic bias is rampant. There is a really long list of issues, and for those of us who make this a full-time job, that means we need to earn money, period. Because bills don't disappear and wait while you get demonetized, or shut down, or whatever else. Since the landscape is rather inhospitable right now, for lack of a better word, the money offered by Raid can become not just enticing, but flat out necessary for some creators. Because of that, you see the gaming section of YouTube absolutely...
No, shouldn't. Back.
Forget everything you knew about honesty and integrity, because one of the most ambitious mobile games of 2019 has just been released, and it's going to change literally nothing. Introducing Raid Garbage Legends. Playing Raid is the least immersive thing possible. We even made a button so the game plays itself and you actually do nothing, because that's totally what you love about RPG video games. It can only really be compared with the biggest PC and console titles, which is a good thing, right? But that's okay. Compare anything else you want, it's just a comparison. You can compare me to Jennifer Love Hewitt, doesn't make it accurate, but rest assured, Raid definitely isn't a trashy mobile cash grab. It's really just as good as major PC and console games, for sure. I wouldn't lie about that for money, no way. In all seriousness, today I'm just gonna rip on Raid Shadow Legends because it's trash, and the marketing for it is trash, and it's
Like you're
annoying,
looking
and
at
I'm sick of
something
seeing it.
again,
Sick of being
and
approached by
you're
it,
really
sick of
just,
the
like,
emails, and
telling
sick of the
someone
money
about
being offered with the clear expectation that I will regurgitate this disgustingly awful sales pitch, which is full of lies, by the way, for a game I absolutely despise, to trick my own audience into spending money. Pretty much anyone who watches YouTube should know what Raid is. It's a turn-based mobile game, and it's probably one of the most prolific YouTube sponsorships out there on the entire platform, with hundreds of channels reading off the exact same script, word for word, and being paid handsomely to do it. This is where I should probably clarify something. I really shouldn't attack my fellow creators for accepting these deals.
I know,
kind
it's
of
your
want
hair,
to, if
right?
I'm being honest, but YouTube isn't exactly the pinnacle of stability right now. Videos get demonetized, COPPA is hanging over us, algorithmic bias is rampant. There is a really long list of issues. Job
I'm about to take a shower and
because
see my
bills don't
legs.
disappear in Raid while you get
You want to
demonetized
shower
or
with me?
shut down or whatever else. Since the landscape is rather
No.
right now, for lack of a better word,
No.
money offered by Raid can become not just enticing but flat out necessary for some creators. Because of that, you see the gaming section of YouTube absolutely overrun with different creators promoting the game. And not just that, but other massive areas of YouTube as well. I'm not kidding when I say this is probably the largest YouTube sponsorship promoter in the entire arena right now. This isn't the first time I've talked about Raid, and at this rate, it won't be the last. Previously, I did a segment about deceptive mobile advertising, which focused on a game called Dragon Awaken, which had flat out stolen footage from an entirely different game for its marketing material. But I also addressed the script I had been given for Raid and made it clear that their tactics were, I guess to put it delicately for right now, less than ideal. Well, despite the fact that I have now, on more than one occasion, disparaged Raid as a game, it appears to have gone under their radar because I continue to receive direct offers from them, and eventually when I partnered with a brand agency, then switched to another brand agency, who I am with now, currently, both of those agencies continued to send me pitches for Raid Shadow Legends, even though I have now told the newest agency twice that Raid is literally the one sponsorship I don't want to even hear about because it's an automatic no. Basically, Raid won't leave me alone, and I'm sure the same is true of countless other
Alright,
creators.
I'm gonna
So
work on my
rather than just
video.